Welcome to Canada, the country of vast expanses of lakes and multicultural cities. Today we are in Toronto, the largest city in the country and its financial and cultural center. In this video, we will walk through the main attractions of Toronto, look at its unique architecture and vibrant street life. And we will also go beyond the city to one of Canada's most famous natural landmarks, Niagara Falls.
Good morning, Toronto.
Today I'm gonna explore the city, but for now I just stopped by this nice coffee shop near my Airbnb, and it's really lovely, and I kind of enjoy being here, and I enjoy being here because it really reminds me of LA and this vibe and people here. And let's cheers. This is Ethica Coffee, and I think it should be pretty good. It's really good. So let's go. So I took a streetcar and I'm heading to the King's West Village neighborhood, and look how clean and nice is this public transportation.
So I landed on McCall Street. Here is the Art Gallery of Ontario with interesting exhibitions. And from here, you can head towards Chinatown, towards the University of Toronto, but I am heading straight towards King West Street. By the way, look, I'm walking along the road, University, a very beautiful building, so colorful. And I really like these columns, beams that support the building. This is the University of Art and Design. Therefore, it's not surprising that they have such an interesting building. And right here, directly opposite the university, there's an interesting little house. It's a store for stationery and various goods for handicrafts, design, and creativity. I never tire of saying how much I love the combination of old and new architecture. And look, this building looks like an old factory with skyscrapers in the background. Also, look at this, an old power station against the backdrop of the CN Tower and skyscrapers. Well, here's a clear example, brick at the bottom and glass on top. The ability to combine like this is, of course, a great achievement of the architects. And finally, I reach King Street West. As you can see, it is a very vibrant street with many old houses framed by modern buildings in the background. And the locals usually come here in the evening, typically on a weekend, to enjoy a cocktail, a drink, take a walk, and have fun. In general, these are Russian patriarchs' pawns. Here, preparations are underway for the Toronto International Film Festival, where unfortunately our film was not accepted, and we are approaching Rogers Stadium and heading towards the waterfront. And look at this interesting composition on the building's facade. Here, there is a beautiful view of the tower and the Canada Aquarium. By the way, these are very popular places, but I have already been to aquariums many times and to panoramic towers too, so I decided not to go this time. And here is the Ontario Lake waterfront with beautiful miniature boats, and it's great to come here, relax, sunbathe. Right now, the heat is over 30 degrees. It's the perfect time to spend here. You can also rent kayaks, boats, and everything you want for a sea trip. They made cool umbrellas here. The only thing missing, of course, is loungers, but sorry about that. I approached the Hockey Hall of Fame, and now I will tell you a little about hockey. Actually, I really love hockey, and there has always been a lot of hockey in my life because my brother played hockey for a long time. Then I had several boyfriends who were hockey players and hockey fans. A friend who dated a hockey player. In general, there was a lot of hockey in my life, so I always followed the main matches and events. And I am very much looking forward to seeing this museum and checking out how much hockey is revered in Canada because, of course, Canada has always been our main rival in matches since the times of the USSR. And the building itself here, of course, looks very, very attractive, truly epic with all these inlays, columns, and canopies. Just take a look. So the entrance is on the negative first floor because I spent quite a while looking for where to go. Well, of course, the first thing that catches the eye is our last names. The jersey of the famous Wayne Gretzky, whose goal scoring record was surpassed this year by Alexander Ovechkin. In Canada, hockey is part of the national identity. And for Canadians, hockey is more than a game. It's culture, pride, a way to unite people. This museum collects the entire history of the game. Old sticks and skates, uniforms of legends, trophies, memorable artifacts. The main relic of the museum is the Stanley Cup. You can see it in person and even take a photo next to it. For fans, it's a true shrine. There are no words for the beauty of this hall. The ceilings are magnificent with stained glass. And here they are, the famous Stanley Cups. By the way, the museum is not only about history. There are interactive zones here. You can stand in the goal and try to block virtual pucks or measure the strength of your shot. In general, I believe that this museum is an exemplary model of how museums should be created in cities. Everything here is so interactive, well structured, and presented in such a cool way that even if you're not a hockey fan, it will still be interesting and you'll definitely find something to see. Next, I am heading towards St. Lawrence Market. It is the most famous food court here in Toronto and one of the city's main attractions. We will try local products. And interestingly, this market features only locally produced products from local farmers. So there is no import at all. At least that's what I was told. This is what the market looks like inside. And my friend recommended a sandwich here, but I can't figure out where to find this sandwich because there are, of course, many different stalls. We'll keep looking. I went up to the second floor, and here it's much, much livelier. They sell fresh products here, meat, vegetables, fish. In general, it's cool, and this is the place where they sell that famous sandwich, bacon sandwich. Now we will order it. The next historic district of Toronto is the Distillery District. It used to have distilleries, but now everything has been rebuilt. It's a modern area with shops and cafes. But they kept the red brick as the foundation of the area's visual image. Merchants with little shops. Look, what a cool installation. It's something like an octopus or a jellyfish, I don't know, but it's creative. And here are some old photographs indicating the area's past, precisely the work of the distilleries. So guys, in Toronto, there is even a special street where a huge amount of graffiti is concentrated. It is called Graffiti Alley, and this mural is the most appealing to me right now with the bright fish. But now we will walk through this entire area and I will show you the works presented here. Once these were just illegal drawings, but today Graffiti Alley is an officially recognized place for street artists. The works constantly change. Some murals disappear, others appear. Here you can find works by famous Canadian graffiti artists and just bright street art. Essentially, it's a free open-air street gallery. Here you can see the real Toronto, multicultural, creative, and free. So we took a boat and went on a trip, a sightseeing cruise. Such a small boat, and now we are heading towards Toronto Island. We landed on Toronto Island. I didn't plan to end up here. A very spontaneous trip and my camera broke. So now we'll have an extreme shoot with a photo camera, but I hope I can show you what's happening here. I think it's a really great place for a picnic, for spending a day off. And now we see the island. We have only 40 minutes. I hope this time is enough for our tour. Let's go. The river taxi regularly runs between downtown Toronto and the island. The ticket price is only about $15 round trip. On weekends, there are especially many people here because families come to swim, enjoy the rides, and simply relax away from the city noise in nature. On the way back, we caught a view of Toronto at night, and it's an especially beautiful sight.
Good morning, another day in Toronto, and today I'm going to check out Casa Loma. Casa Loma is one of the greatest sightseeing here in Toronto, and this is like a mansion that was built in 1911 and still preserves the historical charm of the past.
Casa Loma is one of the most unusual attractions in Toronto. It is a historic residence with a very interesting architectural style, unusual for the city, a combination of neo-Gothic and Romanticism. And the palace was built in 1911 and was intended for a wealthy financier who unfortunately did not live there for long. After the First World War, he went bankrupt and the property was sold off, but the palace still retains its heritage. There are many tours there, and interestingly, a lot of films were shot at this place, and as a filmmaker, I'm very interested to see it. So now I will give you a tour of Casa Loma. As you may have already noticed, the castle is simply enormous. There are more than 100 rooms, each decorated in its own style. A special impression is made by the grand halls, the winter garden, the bright hall with mosaic floors and panoramic windows, and the banquet hall with crystal chandeliers. Inside, there are also the owner's private rooms, bedrooms, living rooms, a study with massive furniture, and a fireplace, and also hidden passages and staircases that create a sense of mystery. You can climb the tower from where there is a beautiful panoramic view of the city. I also went through a tunnel that led me to a special hall dedicated to films that were shot in the castle. The entire walk around the location took me about 2 hours, and that's without an audio guide or any tour. In general, Casa Loma is not just a beautiful building from the outside. The interiors convey the ambitions and taste of the early 20th century when they wanted to build a real castle in the spirit of the old world in Toronto. Another attraction located near Casa Loma is Spadina House. It is a mansion that was built in 1866. Interior tours are regularly held here. They are free and take place about every hour. Today the tour will be short, only 30 minutes, because it is very hot and there is no air conditioning inside. Here you can literally see how a wealthy Toronto family lived in the early 20th century. The house has preserved the atmosphere of different decades, from the 1860s to the 1930s. The interiors are furnished with the original furniture of the Austin family, who owned the estate for more than 100 years. The rooms here are smaller and cozier than in Casa Loma. The living room has patterned wallpaper, antique furniture, and family photographs. In the kitchen, the old equipment has been preserved, the stove, dishes, and spice jars. Particular attention is paid to details: carpets, curtains, lamps, books. All of this recreates the authentic appearance of the house from different eras. Unfortunately, due to the heat, we couldn't go up to the second floor. But this place is not a luxurious castle, it's a real glimpse into the past. Here you feel what life was like for the Canadian elite, but on a more personal, family scale. Went down into the Toronto subway. I really missed public transportation. I almost forgot the feeling of going down into the subway, waiting for the train. It's really, really cool. Actually, when you drive a car, you always forget about this option. And I can say that here, compared to New York, it's much, much cleaner. Well, at least at this station.
And now I'm heading to the Royal Ontario Museum. This is the largest museum in Northern America and one of the biggest ones here in Canada. And it's dedicated to architecture and historical part of Toronto. So we will explore a lot of things.
The museum is also known for its cultural exhibits. Here you can see ancient Egyptian sarcophagi, Greek and Roman artifacts, collections from China and Japan. The hall on the first floor seemed the most interesting to me. In particular, I ask you to pay attention to this wall painting. It looks very incredible. There's also a separate gallery in the museum where interiors from different eras are displayed. Here you can walk from French Rococo with gilding and elegant furniture to old classicism and cozy Victorian living rooms. All these are original items that show how the style and taste of European interiors changed over 3 centuries, but most of the museum is occupied by one of the most popular galleries, the paleontological one. Here you can see huge dinosaur skeletons and fossil finds. There's also a natural history hall, minerals, precious stones, and butterfly collections. I like the interiors of the museum itself. Very beautiful ceilings, very beautiful murals on the walls, but most of the museum is dedicated to biology, dinosaurs, paleontology, and will likely be interesting to children. To be honest, I'm not very interested in these halls, so the most impressive hall for me was the 3rd floor. There is an exhibition of European art, and I missed some kind of art gallery here or something more related to history, even the history of Canada itself. So I will give this museum a 6 out of 10 and head to the Legislative Chamber of Ontario. In fact, the correct name of the place is the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, and you can come here for a free tour but by appointment. The Legislative Assembly building was erected in 1893 in the neo-Romanesque style with elements of Victorian Gothic. The facade is made of pink sandstone from quarries near Credit Valley, which makes the structure look massive. Inside, the building is no less impressive. The central element is the Assembly Hall, where the deputies' meetings take place. Everything here is done with English solemnity. Oak panels, green leather chairs, high ceiling, and stained glass. Besides the main hall, there are reception and committee rooms. The corridors are adorned with marble columns, bronze busts, and portraits of Ontario's prime ministers.
And the last neighborhood for today, the Kensington Market. It's very artistic and hippie neighborhood with a lot of breweries, coffee shops, galleries, authentic stores and flea markets, and a lot of cool entertainment and specific vibes. So if you enjoy freedom, love, and all this, kind of creativity, you have to go here.
In this area, by the way, there is much more graffiti than even on Graffiti Alley, where we walked yesterday. And here, for sure, they look more creative and elegant. By the way, what I noticed during my time in Canada is that there are indeed a lot of immigrants here. About 70% of Canada's population are immigrants. And in a few days here, I still haven't understood who Canadians are, because the majority of the population in downtown Toronto are from India, Asia, and Italy. And who the real Canadians are is hard to determine, But as I was told, Canadians themselves prefer to live in the north of Toronto and don't often go downtown only for work. But apparently, it really is so because the diversity of nationalities here is just incredible, and you don't even particularly feel like a newcomer or a tourist because it seems like everyone here is a tourist. But in reality, no, they all live here. Well, today I have a very, very great day because I am going to Niagara Falls. I always really wanted to be there and specifically wanted to be on the Canadian side. You can get there through the American side as well. There are tours from New York too, but I wanted to see specifically the Canadian side because it offers a much more attractive view of the waterfall itself. And overall, the road from Toronto takes only 2 hours by bus to the falls, so I am very much looking forward to it. And for now, we have been put on the bus at 8 o'clock in the morning. I took a package tour to avoid worrying about organizing the trip. The tour costs me $120, and now we've been brought to the first stop. It's the floral clock. We'll be here for 15 minutes and then move on. 1,600 flowers decorate this clock, and they are changed 2, sometimes 3 times a year. In front of us is the Niagara Whirlpool, a giant whirlpool on the Niagara River approximately 4 kilometers downstream from Niagara Falls. It formed over 4,000 years ago when water carved a new channel through soft layers of rock. The old part of the riverbed turned into a sort of pocket. And when the powerful river flow enters this expansion, it collides with the canyon walls, and the current begins to swirl, forming a huge whirlpool of water.
So they took us to their maple syrup testing, and true Canadians prefer dark maple syrup, but they also have amber and light maple syrup. I personally prefer amber, but it's really nice to try them all. And honestly, I am not really a fan of maple syrup, but it's something really true Canadian, and 90% of all maple syrup in the world produced here in Canada.
We like to use this as a honey replacement because it is. We even like to use this for our iced coffee over here.
And they even have maple syrup popcorn here.
Unfortunately, it happened that part of the material from the trip to the waterfall was lost because right after the trip, my memory card, which stored all the materials, was formatted, but fortunately, most of them were saved. However, some files remain damaged. And the place you see now is called Journey Behind the Falls. It's an attraction where you find yourself in a tunnel as if under the waterfall.
So we got these yellow raincoats, and we heading to the entrance, and we will see there behind the fall adventure. So from here you can see boat. We will ride it a little bit later, but for now we're just observing and see this amazing view from the tunnel point. It's quite wet here, but not like, a big problem, and it's pretty windy, but I really enjoy being here, guys. This is awesome. So the dry part of the tunnel is basically a long line of people waiting for
154 million strain liters of water circulate here every minute. Can you imagine the scale with droughts around the world and so much water here at Niagara Falls? It's just hard to believe these words. Just an enormous number of tourists here, and the guide said that this is still a small number of people.
I highly recommend coming here on a weekday, because otherwise if you're coming Saturday, Sunday, the amount of tourists here will be insanely increased.
By the way, if you notice, there is not just one waterfall here, but several, because this main and beautiful one, which everyone knows, is the Horseshoe Falls. and it is located precisely on the Canadian side. There is no such view from the American side. So look, somewhere in the distance, American tourists are standing and only see the water flow in the opposite direction. That's why I recommend coming to the Canadian side. And over there in the distance, there are two more waterfalls, Bridal Veil Fall and American Fall. So there are two on that side. They are better seen from the American side than from the Canadian side. In general, tourism and all the infrastructure for tourism are highly developed here. Look at the number of hotels, casinos, restaurants, and other entertainment venues for tourists. We have finally arrived. This is the main part of our trip, the boat ride. And now we are going to get wet, but we will be right in the center of the waterfall. There are a lot of people. They say that on a weekend, the wait is about 2 hours to board. One ship takes about 350 people. Well, I hope everything will be quick now.
So we are finally on board and we are ready to start our journey.
I'm already passing by American Fall. People's hats are already flying off. On the American side, they apparently don't have an entrance and have to climb stairs. Like, at least for us, like, it was organized more comfortably. We're getting seriously flooded, like have to turn off the microphone. In short, I don't know how it happened, but my camera can't read the SD card, so I had to urgently switch to another camera. I hope you can hear me because the microphone here is built in. Oh, in general, we returned from the trip. The way back took 3 hours, maybe even 3:20. It was very hot because the air conditioner broke. And in general, I am very happy because we were evicted from some center in Toronto and I was very hungry. And I noticed there's a really cool food market here. Let's go see what's there. Wellington Market is quite a large modern food court with a huge variety of different cuisines and dishes, and in my opinion, much more interesting than New York's Time Out. It is located in the modern shopping center, The Well, which I also recommend visiting if you want to shop. Look at the beauty in the city center. Finally, the feeling of an urban environment of a big city, because of course I really miss this in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is of course a big village, no doubt about it. On the way to the store for a new memory card, I passed by several more key places in Toronto. First, there's Nathan Phillips Square, the main city square in front of Toronto City Hall, where they set up the central skating rink in winter, as well as the magnificent historic building of the Provincial Appellate Court, Osgoode Hall.
So I finally bought a new SD card because my last one just fucked up, and finally I can continue filming, and this is really cool because I feel like I'm in New York again, because this street is literally a small Times Square, a lot of billboards, a lot of showmen, a lot of street vendors, and it's really vibrant.
I think they have some kind of festival going on here because there are a lot of street vendors and a lot of people. Everyone is buying something, and there's a DJ on stage. In general, I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of people.
So guys, this is the end of my trip and I'm heading to Casablanca, Morocco. I will highly appreciate if you can like my video, comment and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.